Welcome home to St. Anne's. We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe and see our sermons. We can't wait to meet you.
Who's ready for chicken chat with Meg? Get ready. Because it's chicken day in the Gospels. And you know me, I'm not one to waste an opportunity to talk about chickens, so here we are. Okay, so I'm going to tell you one of my favorite altar pieces that I've ever seen. And gosh, I cannot remember where it is. But it's of a mother hen. And she's gathering the babies around, and it's raining. But I think we need to talk about exactly what this image really kind of reflects on. Jesus uses this image with the fox and the mother chicken, the mother hen. And he is the mother hen. So Jesus comes to gather this in all, right? And so we're gonna do some chicken chat, all right? What? We're gonna tell the story of Pipsqueak. Okay, so about a year ago, maybe in April or so, we only have hens, right? I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm rather sexist. Extremely. There's Eric and a male cat. There are no other males allowed on the farmlet. I don't want them there. They get in the way of things. They just cause drama. So everything is female on the farmlet. And so I don't have any male chickens. But that doesn't prevent a hen from deciding that she wants babies. So hens will sometimes, depending on the hen, they'll go what we call brooding. So they'll decide, I'm going to have babies. Because they lay eggs, usually like roughly one a day, depending on the chicken. They lay eggs all the time. But they don't care about them. Do not feel bad about eating eggs because those hens don't want them anyway. They don't care. But every once in a while, one will decide that she cares. And she'll decide that she really, really wants babies. And that's what we call a hen going broody. And so one of our hens went broody. But again, we don't allow males on the farmlet. She didn't care. She said, I'm having this baby. I'm having babies. And we said, you're not having babies. And so we did all sorts of things to discourage her from her belief that she was having babies. And she eventually got named Mary Margaret, which was an inside joke because she was such a good Catholic mom. Because she was having none of our arguments. She was having babies. So finally by June, I gave up. And I made a sketchy Facebook deal on a chicken group. Because I know it was real sketchy. I said, does anybody have fertilized eggs? And this random woman says, I have fertilized eggs, and I will meet you on the side of the road by Powell Gardens, like on the highway, on the side of the road. So I drive to the side of the road in Powell Gardens with my children, because this seems like a safe, brilliant plan and I make a cash deal to buy some fertilized eggs for a chicken. Do you all know that I really don't care for chickens because I had a traumatic upbringing with poultry? I know, you wouldn't know that now because my life is chickens. So we buy these eggs, and we take them back to Mary Margaret, and Wesley is the person in charge of this job. Because they have to accept the eggs. So we give her the eggs, and she looks at them, and she grabs and puts them under her. Look at that. Yes, I'll take that egg too. And so she decides to sit on these fertilized eggs. And she sat, and she sat, and she sat, and she got one baby chick. One baby chick. And it was the highlight of her life. You have never seen such a happy creature of God as Mary Margaret with her one little chick. This was her world. She loved this chick. In fact, because she was a big chicken, we named this chicken Pipsqueak because we're not really sure what Pipsqueak is. But Pipsqueak is a mixture of things that don't become large chickens. And Mary Margaret was a large chicken. She's a big old chicken like this. And so Pipsqueak would ride on Mary Margaret's back. I have pictures. I'm not making any of this up. I told you this is chicken chat. It's all real. It's all real. If you ever want to know what life on the farmlet is like, just, here we are. So she has this one beloved chicken. She has Pipsqueak. And she is so happy. And this is her world. And so finally one day, the weather is fine enough, and she decides to take Pipsqueak out of the barn, outside, and she makes a really bad decision. I know, she makes a really poor decision. She decides to take Pipsqueak near the woods. Yeah. And we're not sure what predator lives in our woods, but something, probably a fox. There's a reason that Jesus uses this image, because it's an accurate one. Here in Missouri, we also have coyotes, because we have more than one predator, when you're a chicken. So she takes her baby out, and something comes after them. And Mary Margaret doesn't make it. We don't know what happened to Mary Margaret. So Eric and Caroline that night, in the dark of night, go looking for Mary Margaret and her baby, Pipsqueak, and they cannot find Mary Margaret. But Pipsqueak is found up in a bush, safe. Yes. So we still have Pipsqueak. So Mary Margaret saved her baby somehow. We're not really sure exactly what happened. But the reason this image is so incredibly powerful and why I love it so much is because it's the deep, intrinsic, sacrificial nature of Jesus' love for us. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Because we're kind of like Pipsqueak. We're really not worth it. Can I be honest with you? What? Well, you just ruined the end of the sermon. Shh. She's not mic'd. So you don't know the end of the sermon yet. But we're all kind of this little mess of stuff. This barnyard mix. Not stuff that you would be like, yeah, that makes sense to have this kind of intense, sacrificial love. But Jesus does. God does. And it doesn't make sense. And so when you and I proclaim the gospel and we talk about Christianity, people, it's not going to make sense. It doesn't. That's why it gets warped in all sorts of these weird, bizarre ways. Because those are ways that make sense to us as humans. It makes sense that God would prefer the wealthy and that God doesn't care about the poor. And it makes sense that, we have different sects and different things and all sorts of different people mean more than other people, right? In our human brains, that makes sense. So we warp Christianity to make that fit. But that's not the case. We have a God who loves us and is so incredibly sacrificial. Did you know that hens, when they're nesting, they literally rip the feathers out of themselves to build their little nest? They will do anything, and I am not kidding, anything for these little eggs and then for these little chicks. Literally anything. It's bizarre. And that is how God is with us. So when we talk about Christ's sacrifice on the cross, That's what we're talking about. We're talking about gathering all these humans that really were not worth gathering and saving. But God says we are. That's how important you are. Do not waste it. Because here's the end of the story. Pipsqueak, who was born at the end of August, finally decided that she was a hen. I don't know, like maybe a couple months ago. And she just decided, the girls came to me at the beginning of March, and they said, Mom, Pipsqueak's broody. And I said, oh, we're going to have a teen mom. Guess she's not that old. So I made another chicken deal. This time to the parking lot of Hobby Lobby. And Pipsqueak got 3 eggs. So Pipsqueak is sitting on 3 eggs, and she is due on the 21st. She's due very, very soon. But I want you to imagine what we are capable of, because Mary Margaret's sacrifice allowed for Pipsqueak to have her next generation. You and I are called by generations of people and a God who sacrificed for us. Really dumb sacrifices, sometimes when you think about it. They don't make sense, right? But we are all here and capable of doing the next step because of the sacrifices made by God, by Christ, by all the people in our lives. Do not waste what we have been given. See, isn't chicken chat fun?
We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons.
No.
We can't wait to meet
They
you.
like